Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.0. Prepare for launch.
OTC is go.
Packetbus is go.
PTC is go.
LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Molotov.
STM is go.
Safety con is go.
STE is go.
LRD is go.
SRO is go.
CDI is go.
Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
99, proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
Consequences so severe, so pull your trigger quickly, dear. Our patriots are acting up, let's punish them with fear. Hey, hey!
No need to be afraid. No need at all. Because this is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I'm your host, Darryl W. Perry. And this is episode 302. And before I get into the stories that I want to get into today, I want to give a quick update because I, off and on for about the last month and a half, there have not been Friday shows. There was one last week, so, congratulations on that. I'm glad I made that happen, as well as the prior Friday. That way, was able to have episode 300 be the Ask Me Anything last week. Now, upcoming this Friday, I wasn't sure originally if I was going to be able to do a show this Friday or not. Turns out that I will not be doing a show this Friday, and the reason is because I will be in Washington, D.C. I'm going down to Washington, D.C. to record a presidential debate. I will be debating Dr. Mark Allen Feldman, another one of the Libertarian Party candidates for the Libertarian nomination. So we are going down, meeting in D.C., filming in Fairfax, Virginia, which is about an hour outside of D.C., based on how long public transit takes to get there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be using public transit or if I'm going to get a ride from somebody. But I'll be in the D.C. area on Friday. And then on Saturday of this week, April 2nd, I will be in Burlington, Vermont at the Libertarian Party of Vermont State Convention. So no Friday show this week. But there is still the Ask Me Anything on Wednesday. And I've already got a couple of good questions, but send those over, ama@fppradio.com. And I love getting questions, so send over literally any question. I did an episode on B-sex, so I will answer any question. Send those over, ama@fppradio.com. Now, as you know, the focus of the show has shifted to sort of a personal growth sort of thing, and that's something that I've been working on for a while. And I started by, focusing on the exterior of Darryl and making the exterior look better. I've lost nearly 140 pounds in the last year, and that's something that I am tremendously proud of. And, my body still doesn't look exactly how I want because I've got a lot of loose skin and, fatty pockets here and there. But, eventually that will, sort of, smooth out a little bit, hopefully. But it's not just the exterior that we need to take care of. It's the interior as well. And I'm not talking about, making sure that your liver and your kidneys and your lungs function properly. But that's also good as well to make sure that those things function properly. But also the sort of, the inner beauty sort of aspect needs to be taken care of. And one way that you can, sort of take care of the inner part of you is to have goals. Because if you're just staying in one spot, then you're basically in a rut. And yes, ruts can be comfortable, but there's a reason that, things don't really happen in ruts. It's a reason that, water settles there because it's settling. You need to get out of that rut. And one way you get out of that rut is first you have to decide that you want to get out of the rut, and then you figure out how to get out of the rut, and then you make getting out of the rut a goal. And goals are important. And I've got a story here from Lifehack. And I figured out the website that I'm actually going to that links me over to Lifehack It's a website called Archetypes, and I've got an article from there as well that hopefully I'll be able to get into. Because the two, I see these two stories today as being very related. One's talking about the future, one's talking about the past, and I'll explain as I continue. So the one looking forward is the 5 unspoken principles of goal setting. Setting goals, they write, is an essential practice for living a happy and fulfilling life. Goals provide you with a purpose, direction, and motivation. They give you something to strive for, and they force you to change and improve yourself to achieve them. Goals are good things. The act of setting goals is not always as simple as defining what you want and then going after it. There's actually a science behind it that, if followed, enables the true power of setting and achieving goals. And now this is something that I just want to pause real quick to mention. A lot of times people will say that, like, here's 5 steps to blah, 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 or here's 8 things that successful people do. It's not saying that everybody that does those 8 things is successful, or that everybody that's successful does those exact 8 things, even though, that's what they definitely imply. But, there's no surefire way to be quote-unquote successful, or quote-unquote rich, or, quote-unquote fill in the blank, whatever is the thing that you want to achieve. But with setting goals, it's important to, follow, tongue-tied there for a moment. It's important to follow what would be considered to be best practices, if you will. And I think that's really what they're getting at here, and what some of these other things of 8 steps to being highly successful is that they're finding best practices, and they're telling you those things. And again, it's not a surefire, if you do 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you'll automatically be able to do 5, and then voila, you meet all your goals. The article here continues, but let me, before I continue, say that I'm in no way discouraging people from setting goals. I'm just saying be realistic about, what I'm about to tell you of, yes, here's 5 things that, are unspoken principles of goal setting, but just because you follow these doesn't mean that you will actually achieve your goal, because you still have to strive to achieve the goal. And I'll get into these 5 principles in just a moment here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the finance. Bitcoin Not Bomb. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofit. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofit. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs. Do you want to make liberty popular? Then join the Freedom Book Club. Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the Bitcoin Month, delivered to you every month while recognizing books promoting the ideas of liberty. freedombook.club. Make liberty popular. That's freedombook.club.
Hi, I'm the Rebel Mistress.
And this is Rob Mathias, host of the Rebel Love Show.
And you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio
with Darryl W. Perry.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants like BitStickers, Overstock.com, and, of course, free press publications. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin-accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. spendabit.fppradio.com. Now, let me jump into the 5 principles, and they have them written ever so briefly here, and then we'll go a little more in depth. The 5 principles of goal setting: clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity. Their combined research, that being the combined research of Professors Edward Locke and Gary Latham, makes a correlation between the achievement of our goals and the extent to which the 5 principles were present. Basically, if you follow these tips, you will be much more likely to set effective goals and also achieve them. Let's look closer at these 5 unspoken principles of goal setting. Set clear and concise goals. And this is something that I will admit that I struggle with, to where I'll set goals of, I want to do this better, or I want to, fill in the blank, something a little vague, and, well, I don't really know how to achieve vague. But, there are times when I want to run a 100-yard dash on the moon. That's a very clear goal. It's not very realistic. So, just because it's clear doesn't mean it's realistic. But nonetheless, let me jump into what they say here at lifehack.org. The first principle discussed by Locke and Latham was clarity. This means your goal should be very well defined and not unclear or vague. You should be able to picture exactly what you want your life would, or rather exactly what your life would look like after you achieve your goal and when you want to achieve it. Unclear goals are a recipe for fumbling around, hitting roadblocks, and never really achieving what you want. After all, how do you know if you've accomplished a goal if you never really knew what you were after? I think, or rather, it says think about it in terms of weight loss. An example of a terrible goal would be, I want to lose weight. Of course, don't we all? A much better example of a clear, concise goal would be, I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. Having something concrete and measurable not only makes achieving your goal more likely, but also makes it easier to track progress along the way. Make your goals challenging. This is number 2. Having a clear and concise goal is not enough to make it an effective one. It's nearly as important to make sure that the goal you set for yourself is also challenging. It should be enough to test your character and make you feel like you've really accomplished something. Going back to what I said earlier about getting out of the rut. Once you realize you're out of the rut, you know you're out of the rut. Once you get out of the rut, you're like, wow, I'm glad I wasn't there. I'm glad I'm no longer there. There was a podcast that I was listening to recently. It was The School of Greatness, which is one that I've referenced a good bit over the last couple of months. And there was a guest on recently, Tim Story, and I'll post the link to the full episode in the show notes, but it was episode 305 of the School of Greatness podcast. And he had a quote that really stuck out with me, and I actually tweeted out this quote, and Tim Story actually liked the tweet. So that's pretty cool, right? So the quote is, you might not be what you want to be, but thank God you're not who you used to be. You could also rephrase this to say, you might not be where you want to be, but thank God you're not where you used to be. So you're not in that rut any longer. And you might not be at the top of Mount Everest where you want to be. You might not be, at the beach. You might not be wherever fill in the blank place is that you want to be. But just be glad you're no longer where you were. And that's something that if you never set a challenging goal for yourself, you're always going to be in that rut. You're always going to stay in that rut. And you'll want to be somewhere else, but you're not ever doing anything to get out of that rut. And the spark of motivation to get out of the rut is different for everybody. And whatever, the rut could be anything. The rut could be you're overweight, like I was for so long. The rut could be you are in a job you hate. The rut could be you're living somewhere that you hate. The rut could be you're in a relationship you don't like. The rut could be anything, and you need that motivation to get out of the rut, to try to get out of the rut. Not just the I want to, because for the longest time, I was like, I want to lose weight, but I never did anything to actually try losing weight. The motivation for me to lose weight was listening to Penn Jillette talk about how he was able to lose a bunch of weight really fast, going on this 1,000-calorie a day diet with help of a nutritionist. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wind up losing weight. And I did it. I've met the goals that I've set. And unfortunately, due to travel recently, I've gained some weight back. So I'm doing this weird yo-yo thing to where every week or so I'm gaining a few pounds and then dropping those pounds and then gaining them back and dropping. So I'm in sort of this phase to where I'm fluctuating within about a 10-pound range, and I definitely want that to stop, and I'm working on it. I truly am. But my goal, and one of the goals that I have set for myself, is to remain under 175 pounds throughout the entire year. And right now I'm a little above that. But definitely I'm going to work on it, and that's one of the goals. It's a clear, concise goal, and it's somewhat challenging right now because of the life that I'm leading of traveling a lot. Getting back to what they write here at Lifehack, they said, going back to the weight loss example, would you honestly feel good about yourself if you committed to losing just 1 pound over the same course of 2 months? You could essentially do nothing for the first 7 weeks and then fast the night before your deadline to hit your mark. Your goals have to be something worth fighting for. And what are principles 3, 4, and 5? I'll tell you. Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Do you like the show? Do you really like the show? Then you should become one of my fans. Not just a fan, I'm not saying a fan as in someone that's a fanatic. No. I mean an actual fan of the show, a friend, an ally, and a Numery supporter. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon. You get bonuses. You get ad-free content, meaning that there are no commercials other than the live reads that I do on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. You get ad-free versions of the 7-day-per-week newscasts that I do. And you also get the monthly newspaper that I've been publishing for going on 4 years. You can get all of that and more bonuses, possibly, depending on what supporter level you join at when you join the Fans program at fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Jumping back now into the goals, and speaking of goals, I've got a goal for the Fans program. The goal is to bring in $500 per month. When I hit that $500 per month mark, I will begin producing a thrice daily newscast. Right now I'm doing it once a day, every day of the week. I hit $500, it will be 3 times a day, meaning that there will be a morning, a midday, and an evening edition of FPP Radio News. There's other stuff that goes along with hitting that $500 goal, and there's actually a goal prior to that, but I forget what level I have the goal set at. But you can find those goals and everything else there at fans.fppradio.com. Step number 3, or rather principle number 3 of the 5 unspoken principles to goal setting: truly and deeply commit to your goals. And I'm not going to delve into 3, 4, or 5 because I do want to talk about this other story that I have that sort of looks into the past a little bit. So number 3, truly and deeply commit to your goals. Number 4, review and acquire feedback on your progress. And this is something that, the being truly committed and the getting feedback is something that really helped me with the weight loss, to where after I lost about 75, 80 pounds, people started saying, have you lost some weight? You look different. Have you lost some weight? So I was getting good, positive feedback. And, the feedback is really good. And it helps you to stay motivated, especially if it's positive feedback. And that's something that, sort of to sidetrack here for a moment, that's something that people need more of, is positive feedback, because people hear negative stuff all the time. And there have been psychological studies done that show that for every so many negative things that are said, people need X number of positive things said to them to overcome that. But it seems as though a lot of bosses now, I know I've experienced it with bosses I've had in the past, is they think that people only respond to negative feedback. So if you're only ever told you're a horrible employee, at some point you're going to start believing that you're a horrible employee. Doesn't matter that you always meet the deadlines. Doesn't matter that you do the job better than everybody else in the company. If all you're ever told is you need to do this faster, you need to do this better, then you're going to start thinking that you're a horrible employee. Same thing goes with anything. If your spouse is always telling you that you can't do stuff right, then pretty soon you're going to think that you're a terrible husband, terrible wife, terrible lover, terrible father, mother, whatever, fill in the blank. If all you ever get is negative feedback, you're going to internalize that. And that's something that we just need more positivity. And that's something that will definitely help you reach your goals, is that positive feedback. Number 5, and this is something that I've talked about a little bit previously, is that you need to break the larger goal into smaller, simpler tasks. Because then and I forget who said it, but the example of clean the kitchen. You walk into the kitchen, the stove's dirty, the sink is full of dishes, the floor's a mess. Oh, where do I begin? There's so much to do. Where do I begin? So you break it down into simpler tasks. Wash the dishes, clean the stove, sweep the floor, mop the floor, organize the silverware in this drawer, organize this over here, and break it down into a bunch of smaller, simpler tasks. And then as you're checking those things off of your task list, you can see that you're making progress towards the goal. Instead of just walking in, oh, it's a mess, I'm going to go take a nap. So break it down into smaller, simpler tasks, and that will definitely help you on the way, because you can then see that you're making progress. Others will see that you're making progress, and ultimately you will wind up achieving your goals. Summing it all up, they write, the next time you sit down to assess or set your goals, don't forget these principles. Using these principles will ensure that you're setting effective goals and will dramatically increase your chances of achieving them. And I've been using a task organizer. Wunderlist is the name of that. It's spelled Wunderlist. So it's like, the word wonder, but it's spelled with a U. And again, I'll post a link in the show notes to that. Now, let's go from looking forward to looking backwards, and I will tell you reasons that you should actually not do that. 7 reasons why you should never try to fix the past, and I will run through these very quickly in the closing moments here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. And if there's anything that you want me to expound upon, send that as a question to ama@fppradio.com.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Hey, it's the closing moments of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, and I'm going to run through very quickly the 7 reasons that you should never try to fix the past. And I wish I had more time because there are some things here that I would sort of like to delve into a little bit more, to sort of, open the door on the this is who Darryl is, this is how Darryl came to be who he is, where he is, why he is. But I will run through these very quickly. The past is the past, they write. Yes, there's always the allure of wanting to go back and make it right, to secure something that was lost, to find something that wasn't meant for us in the first place. It's such a temptation that people think when they do revisit the past, they can find peace, comfort, and happiness. While it is exciting or fun to see if we can make the past what we wished it could be, any venture at revisiting the past could hurt our self-esteem, hurt our happiness, and hurt our security. Here are 5 reasons you should never try to fix the past. And they say here are 5 reasons, but the title of the article is 7 reasons. So we'll see exactly how many reasons there are. There is no forgiveness in the past. The past does not forgive you. It remembers you for who you were rather than who you can be. You become a victim of fear. There are only 2 emotions. They say love and fear. Going or trying to revisit the past only makes you a victim of fear rather than a master of courage. To be in the present or in the future is to have learned to love what you have and reject those things you cannot replace. Rather than being a victim of fear or revisiting the past, let go and face the future with courage. It means you have not learned anything. Yes, the past is good for knowledge, but the future is important for practicing what you have learned. And I could delve so deeply into this, but there is not time. Trying to fix the past hurts your self-esteem because the past shows or reflects your vulnerability. Rather than strengthen your resolve or beautify your abilities, it exposes your weaknesses and disability. The past makes you a prisoner. The past betrays reality. And trying to fix the past betrays reality, and trying to fix the past exhausts our time. And there's so much more important things to do, like plan for the future and improve yourself. This link will be in the show notes. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copyheart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas, which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.